Tommy Fury, trash!
People will criticize you for going 6 rounds with Jake Paul. How do you feel about that?
I deserve it.
Gervonta Davis reportedly laughs while watching Jake Paul get knocked out by Anthony Joshua. Tank makes fun of Jake's punches, joking about his wide swings and awkward movement against the top heavyweight. His reaction shows the big difference in skill and explains why fighting someone like AJ was always a dangerous choice. Ryan Garcia shared his reaction to the Anthony Joshua vs. Jake Paul fight on X. He said that Gervonta Davis would have hurt Jake even more, showing that Davis has much more skill and power than Paul. The boxing world is buzzing not just about the fight, but also about drama outside the ring. Analyst Fannin said there is a real chance that Gervonta Davis could sue Jake Paul for defamation. This comes after Jake Paul allegedly accused Davis of hurting a girl, which Fannin says is completely false. He believes the claim has no proof and that the issue is now turning into a possible legal battle.
And real possibility of Gervonta Davis filing a lawsuit against Jake Paul for defamation. A very, very real and possible thing. Jake Paul could be responsible for defamation against Gervonta Davis. I absolutely believe that to be the case. That's because Jake Paul said that he saw a videotape where Gervonta Davis punched a girl in her face. There's no testimony by anybody at all that Gervonta Davis did that. The girl herself is not accusing him of that. The videotape that somebody in the media said that they saw, a journalist said that they were given a copy to, or they were shown a copy of, didn't say it showed anything about Gervonta Davis punching the girl or hitting the girl. It was just that the person categorized it as it looking as if Gervonta was forcing her to leave the club. So basically, she was walking out of the club with Gervonta.
Many people in boxing and online reacted strongly to Jake Paul's fight against Anthony Joshua, showing both respect and surprise. Chris Eubank Jr. posted on X that no matter the result, Jake stepped into the ring with an Olympic gold medalist and former heavyweight champion and fought until the end. He said Jake deserves respect for doing something most people would never try and for not giving up. Adding some humor, Kiss I shared a post on X showing himself laughing after waking up to news that Jake Paul had been knocked out.
Yo, don't mind me, just smoking on that Jake Paul pack. Honestly, Jake Paul, trash. Tommy Fury, trash.
Meanwhile, Chris Manx shared his shock, simply saying, "This is horrifying." Even though Jake Paul lost, some legendary boxers still showed him respect. Former world champion Antonio Tarver said on YouTube that Jake did well against Anthony Joshua. He pointed out that Jake lasted all 6 rounds and didn't make it an easy fight for Joshua. Tarver added that many fighters would have been knocked out much earlier, but Jake showed strength and determination the whole fight. He said lasting against an Olympic gold medalist and former heavyweight champion deserves respect and proves Jake trained seriously. Many fans and analysts agree that Tarver's praise makes Jake's effort more believable.
Pro boxing fans, Antonio Tarver after another big fight. Jake Paul stopped by Anthony Joshua tonight. What did you make of it?
I expected it. AJ looked like he was putting that pressure on, but credit to Jake Paul. He didn't make it easy, bro. He wasn't no sitting duck. You know, he got on his footwork, used his ring, was moving a lot, and he landed some shots. So hats off to Jake Paul, but he was in there surviving, and he didn't make it easy for AJ. But AJ landed that right hand. I knew it was over after that.
Why did it take so long, do you think?
Oh, Jake Paul wasn't a sitting duck. You know, he was putting his mind to the game, but just didn't have enough in his bag. He just, like I said, he got to get those lessons and evolve more as a fighter. You know,
you want to see him continue?
Yeah, he's going to continue, of course. Just got to pick him right, bro, and give yourself a chance. You know what I mean? I think he was just biting off a little bit more than he could chew tonight. You know, his aspirations was a little bit far out.
I think AJ could have got it done a bit quicker.
I mean, I think he was in there to do it, but like I say, Jake didn't make it easy, bro. It's hard to hit somebody when they moving, especially the way he was moving lateral, just, you know, circling. So he had to catch up with him. He hit him with a couple body shots that slowed him down a little bit.
Veteran voice Labella, a member of the International Boxing Hall of Fame, shared a strong opinion on X. He said Anthony Joshua should be the one feeling ashamed, claiming the fight hurt AJ's legacy. Labella added that Jake Paul is a smart businessman, while questioning Joshua's care for boxing and his effort in the sport. Doctors also shared their views after the fight. Dr. Brian Sutterer from Maryland talked about Jake Paul's broken jaw and the serious risks it brings. He said it could cause long-term pain, trouble eating, and more problems if not treated well. Dr. Sutterer warned that injuries like this need careful care and that repeated damage could hurt Jake's future in boxing.
By knockout. I'll admit I watched the fight pretty boring in the first half before AJ finally turned it on and we got the outcome that we all expected. After the fight, though, Jake told Ariel Helwani that he was worried that he had broke his jaw. He said multiple times he was concerned that he had a fractured jaw. And certainly looking at this knockout punch that Anthony Joshua delivers, it is absolutely a possibility that Jake does in fact have a jaw fracture. I'd honestly be more concerned about a concussion. In fact, with most jaw fractures, the more important thing initially is to look for other injuries to the head, to the neck, to the airway. The jaw fracture potentially being there or not is going to be lower on the list often than whether there's damage to the airway, damage to the head. And so very possible to have a concussion or some residual symptoms from this, as Jake Paul's head is relatively still here. We see AJ comes in with that right, and that sudden, quick, violent rotation of the head is going to transmit a lot of rotational force, not only through the brain, but also through the brainstem, absolutely leading to possibility of a concussion. Thankfully, it didn't completely knock him out, but could absolutely result in some delayed symptoms. But you can see where the punch comes in, landing square on that left side of Paul's face. Jake's reaction was pretty telling too. Right away after it, we could see him going down on the canvas here and being very shocked. It doesn't look like there's any obvious deformity to the jaw. We won't necessarily always see a deformity to the jaw, but you could tell he clearly had realized that something serious had happened there and feeling the full power of AJ's right. And finally, on this last view, we can see a little bit better the exact location where the punch comes in. We'll talk about our jaw anatomy, the different areas of the bones, but your temporomandibular joint, where your jaw articulates with the rest of your skull.
Nakisa Bidarian shared her emotional reaction to the fight, saying she felt heartbroken but also proud after Jake Paul's tough knockout loss to Anthony Joshua. She said Jake gave his best performance under huge pressure while facing one of the greatest heavyweights in boxing. Her words show both sadness and respect, matching how many fans felt, upset by the loss but proud of Jake's courage and effort.
I'm just happy he's safe. I've always been proud of him. I speak constantly from the rooftops to mountaintops with my car when I'm moving in the street. Respect Jake Paul. That was the #1 trending thing on Twitter about an hour ago. Respect to Jake Paul. So I'm just thrilled.
With how it went tonight, obviously you guys came in here and you actually did, like, deluded or not what people will say, people believed that Jake Paul could do something crazy tonight. Did you truly believe from the beginning that he might pull it off?
So he 100% believed unequivocally that he was going to win. And I talked about that with him, afterwards when he was getting showered up. He knew it was high risk, high reward. He had to land something big, but he felt like he could. My view was it was going to be very hard, but it could happen, right? And there was moments in that fight where I was like, holy shit, this kid's getting him a little bit. So, when I spoke about no matter what happens, he won, it wasn't because I didn't believe in him.
Anthony Joshua spoke about the fight and how people reacted to it. He said Jake Paul deserves some criticism for lasting 6 rounds against the top boxer. However, Joshua also said there wasn't much Jake could have done differently because of the big gap in skill and experience. By saying this, Joshua accepted the criticism while still respecting Jake's effort, showing he understands both the fight and what fans expect.
You won tonight, how do you feel?
Feel good. How do I feel? I feel good.
People will criticize you for going 6 rounds with Jake Paul. How do you feel about that?
I deserve it.
Why? Come on.
Because, we're elite fighters. So I put myself in the shoes of a coach. If I was coaching Anthony Joshua and he went 6 rounds with Jake Paul, I would get him back in the gym tomorrow, give him a bit of a beating, and we're getting straight back to work, because I'll be like, how are you letting this kid take you 6 rounds? Are you crazy? But I can't go back in time.
He was elusive, though. He made himself a small target. You decided to take your time in there with him.
Yeah, so if you listen back to the interview I done with MVP and Netflix, I said, in boxing, there's a time when you systematically break someone down and you see their soul leaving their body. And after a period of time, 2 things start to happen to them. Either they give up or they get knocked out. And there was a bit of a mix. I broke Jake's jaw.
His teeth look a bit removed as well.
Yeah, his teeth have come out of place. but credit to him, he done well. But I told him what was going to happen, but it just took 6 rounds to do that. And I swear to you, yeah, so I'm going to tell you this. Listen to everything I say. I watched The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, and there was a game where someone said to him, they didn't say hi to him, and he said to them, all right, I took that personal.
Boxing commentator Wade Plemons was very direct about Anthony Joshua's performance. In a reaction video, he said AJ deserves criticism. Plemons explained that Joshua did not look as good as expected, even after training at Usyk's camp. He pointed out that Joshua's footwork looked slow and not as sharp as fans hoped, showing there was still room to improve even though he won. His honest comments started debate among fans and experts, reminding everyone that winning is not always enough for top boxers.
Difficult for AJ to get his timing. No excuses. AJ didn't look great. I'll be honest. He didn't look great. He didn't look like, an AJ we thought we were going to get, the Marauder, the guy that was going to come forward and bang out Jake in 1 round. Pause. But, So I just think it was a mix of AJ didn't look great. Jake didn't engage as much as people maybe thought he would, even though I kind of thought this is exactly how the fight would go. And it took AJ a little bit longer, but eventually he got the job done.
I mean, look, it was a big ring. We knew it was going to be a big ring. It looked at times like it was a fight on a football pitch sometimes. It was a big ring.
Jake made it feel very big because he hugged those ropes. It wasn't...
You've got to cut the ring off. Right.
100%. And this is the thing where AJ deserves, the criticism of a guy that has his skill level, a guy that has his experience level. You shouldn't be getting caught up in the idea that you have to go and put him out in 1 round. You said in the whole fight week leading up that you weren't going to worry about the crowd, that you weren't going to worry about the mind games. And sure enough, round 1 comes out, and you're trying to step to him, but you're forgetting all your fundamentals. I heard everything about how AJ would go to Usyk's camp and they would fix his feet. His feet were flat. He walked in crossing his feet over, and he chased Jake. Chased him the entire fight until Jake got tired enough to be caught. So that was stuff that I looked at and was like, yeah, this deserves criticism. Jake didn't do much, but AJ didn't make him pay for it at times.
Ariel Helwani shared his view, saying Anthony Joshua's win over Jake Paul was not a surprise. He said Joshua was expected to win and there was no reason for him to lose to Paul. Helwani pointed out how powerful Joshua's punches were, saying each one could seriously hurt an opponent. His comments showed that the result was expected while still recognizing Jake's effort and Joshua's greater skill and experience.
Not to win this fight. And I really didn't know if it was going to last 30 seconds or 8 rounds. And every time he threw a punch, I winced because he's a big man and he's an incredible boxer and he's still in his prime. And he's got a very long reach, and he's got a lot of power in that right hand, and that left hook is terrifying as well, and so I thought it could end at any moment. And so because of that, I was captivated and enthralled because I literally thought that he could take Jake's head off at any moment. So a 30-second knockout wouldn't have been a great surprise to me. The fact that Jake went 6 rounds, I think he should view as a moral victory. Sounds like he's proud of himself. Do I think it was the greatest fight of all time? Of course not. Was I expecting the greatest fight of all time? Of course not. Honestly, up until the walkouts, I was like, I can't even believe that this is still happening. I can't believe that this is a real thing that's about to, unfold in front of our eyes. There was a lot of pressure, I think, on Anthony's shoulders for 2 reasons. He's coming off a knockout loss. I don't think that was discussed enough in the lead up to this fight. When you are coming off a knockout loss, you are a little bit tentative, gun shy. You remember it, and he had not fought since then, and it was 15 or so months ago. And so I think he was very worried about slipping on a banana peel, about screwing up for boxing and screwing up for his legacy. And then I thought that he was headhunting a little bit, and that's not really his style, and he was swinging and missing, and I thought that was getting to him a little bit. Do I think he was playing with his food? No, there were a couple times where he was going to the body, and I was like, why aren't you going to the head? The head is open. Upstairs is open. And I was surprised that he wasn't going there. But, any of this nonsense, script, bullshit.
Another interesting point came from boxing analyst Henry, who noticed that Jake Paul kept grabbing Joshua's body and tried to take him down. Henry said this is not normal in boxing and the referee should have stopped it. He added that Paul's actions raise questions about how rules were enforced. This view looks at the technical side of the fight, not just who won.
was a little bit worried about what was coming back at him. He was kind of unaware of what kind of power Jake Paul had. He clearly didn't really want to get hurt or hit. And also, as soon as Joshua did get to the inside against Jake Paul would clinch instantly. And something that he did repeatedly throughout the fight, which was very frustrating to watch, that the referee didn't really punish or lock down on, was the fact that Jake Paul kept sliding down AJ's body, grabbing his legs and going down to the ground, basically. Now, it's a tactic that people use when they're tired and when they're worried about being in that clinch for too long, because they don't want to be smothered by the bigger man, held by the bigger man, have to go into a wrestling match. It's basically submitting and saying, I can't compete with you in that space. Also, this gives me a quick chance to catch my breath and do a bit more moving, which is something that he did constantly throughout this fight. It also revealed to us why it was only 8 rounds. We already had the feeling that perhaps Jake Paul would try and survive, which was why the fight was on the shorter side. To get through 8 rounds was a lot more thinkable than getting through 10 or 12. And there's no other reason for Anthony Joshua to agree to an 8-round fight. It was clearly something that Jake Paul's team wanted in the contract. And look, had this fight been 6 rounds, Jake Paul might have just about survived. He might have just about got through it. And he said himself after the fight, if I just had a little bit more cardio, I probably could have made it to the end. And it speaks to just how much damn moving he was doing. Now look, towards the end of the fight, the 5th and 6th rounds, AJ started to actually land power punches and knock Jake Paul down to actually hurt him. And in the end, he finished the fight with a trademark large, powerful right hand. Before I get into whether or not I think this was real, whether anyone was carried or anything like that, I have to say, fair play to Jake Paul in terms of his toughness. He actually does have quite a good chin because he was taking some big clean shots from Anthony Joshua.
Finally, former boxer Paulie Malignaggi shared his thoughts, joking that the fight was a bit of a joke, but still praised Jake Paul's bravery. He said Jake risked a lot by facing a top athlete like Anthony Joshua. Paulie added that Jake deserves credit for taking on the challenge and dealing with possible injuries. His comments show that courage and effort in the ring are just as important as winning or losing.
Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua is over. Thank God it's over. What a joke of a fight. I was hoping that I could at least give Jake credibility and saying, you know what, he took this challenge. You know, even if it's for a lot of money, he still had the guts to walk to the ring and all this stuff. I was hoping, you know, you're gonna get knocked out anyway, dude. Like, I was hoping I could say, you know what, because he earned the respect of boxing fans by going out on his shield. The guy just ran for his life. I just watched Jake Paul run for his life for like 5-6 rounds. Literally just run for. He was doing football jukes. You guys watched that fight? Ring was big. I made a freaking point about that ring being big, and he used it to his advantage in terms of survival in every way he could. I mean, this guy literally never tried to win a second of the fight. He was trying to throw a home run punch every once in a while. Then notice every time he got in the clinch, he just went down. Like he just hugged Anthony Joshua and then like would go down, and the referee would call it a slip and give him a break, and like he would just kill time that way. Then he was completely angling off. He was completely blading his shoulder off completely to the point where he's so bladed off that he can't even punch. He was just trying to make himself as small of a target as possible. And Anthony Joshua, people are gonna say, oh, why didn't Anthony Joshua catch up to him? Because Anthony Joshua never had fast feet to begin with, and Anthony Joshua honestly should have probably cut off the ring a little bit better. That's my one critique of Joshua. He probably could have cut off the ring a little bit better. Joshua's always never really had the best feet, but in terms of cutting off the ring, could have at least done that. But honestly, what do you want the guy to do? I mean, this guy ran for his life in a 22 by 22 foot ring. That ring was huge. I can't believe what I just watched, guys. I'm seriously, like, dude, that's it. This was AJ's chance. Could have went out on his shield and his chance to say, yeah, get the respect of the boxing community. This was the one that could have got him the respect of the boxing community. This was the one.
That's all for today's video. Stay tuned for the next one.